Okay, so feeling like you're maybe only scratching the surface with the free version of ChatGPT. Today, we're diving deep into how you can really unlock its full potential in 2025 and the best part. So let's unpack that. There was this method from a YouTube tutorial called RCT, Role, Context, Task.
That's the one. It's a framework, basically. So role. You tell ChatGPT who it should be. Context. You give it the background, the situation. Task. You state clearly what you need it to do.
Okay, so walk me through that. The love letter example was pretty good.
Right. So role. Act as an expert in, say, seduction or maybe conjugal relations, something specific.
Okay.
Context. You're Ludo writing to your hairdresser. She's in a relationship, but vents a lot, doesn't like big romantic gestures. Paint the picture.
Got it. The details matter.
Immensely. And then the task. Write a short, funny, but sincere letter under 2 paragraphs suggesting dinner after her next haircut.
Okay. You can immediately see how that's going to produce something much more tailored, much more useful than just saying, write a love letter.
Exactly. That structure, that RCT method, it directs the AI's intelligence in a much more focused way.
And speaking of the AI, what about the actual models available for free in 2025?
Good question. So you've got 2 main ones, GPT-4o and this newer one, GPT-01.
GPT-4o and GPT-01.
Okay. Yeah. And the recommendation is generally to use GPT-4o for your sort of standard tasks. It's faster, more general purpose.
Your everyday queries, quick summaries, that kind of thing.
Precisely. But for the more complex stuff, tasks that need deeper thought, maybe more nuanced reasoning, that's where GPT-01 comes in.
What makes it better for complex tasks?
Well, it uses what they call a chain of thought methodology. It sort of reflects step by step before giving you the answer. It thinks it through more deliberately.
I see. So going back to the love letter, if you wanted a really subtle plan to get her attention, maybe GPT-01 would be better.
Potentially, yes, because it's better suited for things like strategy development or crafting really detailed, complex content where that step-by-step reasoning helps generate a more coherent output.
Interesting. Now, it's not just about text anymore, is it? There are integrations now. Canva was mentioned.
Yeah, that's a big step. The Canva integration lets you work directly with the content ChatGPT creates, right within the chat interface.
So you generate the text, maybe that love letter.
Exactly. And then still inside ChatGPT, you can use Canva tools to tweak the wording, maybe add some emojis, adjust the reading level, shorten it.
Okay, wow. So you're editing and refining before you even export it to a design tool.
Precisely. And there are even AI-powered suggestions for improvement right there. It makes creating things like marketing materials or social media posts much faster.
That sounds incredibly useful. It's almost like a mini content creation suite.
It kind of is, and this idea of doing more within ChatGPT extends to search as well.
Right. Challenging Google's dominance.
Well, maybe not dominance, but certainly offering a strong alternative. If you ask GPT-4o something specific, like find relevant meditation books for remote workers, you can tell it to search on the web.
And what happens then?
It doesn't just give you a list of links like Google. It provides direct, curated suggestions, often with summaries, and importantly, links back to the sources it used. It cuts through a lot of the noise.
Yeah, I could see that. Less sifting through ads and irrelevant pages.
Definitely saves time.
And beyond text and search, images are a big part too, even in the free version.
Oh, absolutely. Image generation is quite powerful now. You could ask it for, say, a caramel-colored cat skateboarding downhill wearing a red helmet.
Okay. Specific.
And the results can be surprisingly realistic. Plus, you can iterate. Maybe you want the helmet blue instead. You just ask it in the chat to modify the image it just made.
That's cool. And it can analyze images too.
Yes, you can upload an image. We saw an example where someone uploaded YouTube thumbnails and ChatGPT critiqued them.
What did it look for?
Things like expressive faces, concise text overlays, vibrant colors, elements that make a thumbnail effective. It could explain why certain thumbnails work better.
Useful for creators. And documents. Can it analyze PDFs?
It can. Upload a PDF, maybe something technical like a guide on muscle planning, and ask it to extract the key information.
And it would just pull out the main points.
Yeah, it could create, say, a bulleted list of the best tips from the document. Huge time saver if you're dealing with dense material.
Okay, with all these potential uses, text, images, analysis, search organization must become important.
It really does. And there are new features for that. There's something called ChatGPT Project.
Projects, like folders?
Essentially, yes. You can create dedicated folders for different projects or topics. You can keep related conversations together and even add files and specific instructions for that project.
Ah, so future chats within that folder are more context-aware.
Exactly. And then there's ChatGPT Task.
Tasks, like reminders.
Pretty much. You can set up reminders or notifications. For instance, ask it to send you a daily relaxation tip via email at a certain time.
Okay, these features make it feel less like a one-off tool and more like an integrated assistant.
That's the idea. And to really make it your assistant, personalization is key.
Right, the settings. Personalized ChatGPT.
Uh-huh. There are two main parts. One is where you tell it about yourself, your role, your goals, interests. The other is where you specify how you want it to respond, tone, length, format, that sort of thing.
And there's the memory feature, too.
Yes, ChatGPT can retain information across conversations. It learns from your interactions. But crucially, you can view and manage this memory, deleting things you don't want it to remember.
Good to have control. Now, something else that seemed powerful, even for free users, was access to custom GPTs.
Absolutely. These are specialized versions of ChatGPT, often created by the community or developers, designed for very specific tasks. And free users can access and use many of them.
Like the logo creator example.
Exactly. Or maybe one designed for drafting legal clauses, or translating code, or planning meals. You find these in the Explore GPTs section. You can search for GPTs tailored to your needs.
So it's like an app store, but for AI capabilities.
Kind of, yeah. There's another fun example, Mamma Mia, showing how even someone like a plumber could use a custom GPT to maybe help draft client communications or troubleshoot common issues described by customers. It integrates AI into daily professional life.
Okay, so you've got the models, the tools, the personalization. Yeah. But it feels like the bedrock of all this is still knowing how to ask, right? Prompting.
Absolutely. Effective prompting is the core skill. And pulling together tips from various sources, some key themes emerge.
Like what?
Well, first, be specific. Don't just ask a question. State the desired output format, a list, an explanation, a table, code.
Okay, clarity on the output.
Give it a role. Act as a historian. Act as a marketing expert. Add context. Provide the necessary background. Set limits. Specify length, tone, style.
And don't just accept the first answer?
Definitely not. Follow up. Refine your prompts based on what it gives you. It's iterative.
What about practical tips?
Use temporary chats for sensitive information you don't want logged or used for training. Learn keyboard shortcuts for efficiency. Explicitly tell ChatGPT to remember this. For key info you want it to retain short term. Archive old chats to keep things tidy.
So it's about building the prompt carefully.
Yes. Provide background beyond just a one-sentence question. Get it to adopt different perspectives. Think like a product manager, then like a caregiver. Build upon previous prompts.
That RCT method seems like a good way to structure a lot of this.
It really is. Role, context, task covers specificity, role-playing, and context quite neatly.
Of course, it's the free version. There must be limitations.
There are. You might hit usage caps or find access limited during really peak times. Sometimes the very newest models might be paywalled initially. It's not always perfect.
And troubleshooting common issues. What if it stops mid-answer?
Just type continue or go on. If answers are vague, ask it to elaborate or provide sources, though always fact-check important information yourself.
What if it's too wordy?
Tell it to be more concise or to summarize in bullet points. If it doesn't respond, just try again. Later servers can get busy. If it misunderstands, rephrase your prompt. Repetitive answers usually mean you need to give it more specific input.
Okay, that makes sense. And finally, there was something about custom instructions.
Yes. This is a really powerful free feature. It lets you set up default instructions that apply to all your new chats automatically.
So instead of telling it your preferences every time...
Exactly. You set them once. You can define the default tone, how formal it should be, whether it should focus on key points, things like that.
What are some examples people use?
Oh, lots. Things like, never mention you are an AI model. Avoid unnecessary apologies. If you don't know the answer, just say, I don't know. Focus on the key takeaways. Break down complex tasks into smaller steps. Provide multiple perspectives. Ask clarifying questions if my prompt is ambiguous. Cite sources when possible. Correct your own mistakes. Always suggest follow-up questions.
Wow, okay. That really lets you tailor its default behavior quite significantly.
It's like giving ChatGPT your personal user manual up front. Saves a lot of repetitive prompting.
Okay, so summing up then. To really master free ChatGPT in 2025, it's about structured prompting, like RCT, knowing your model's 4.0 for speed, O1 for depth, using tools like Canva, leveraging it for search, getting creative with images, staying organized with projects and tasks, personalizing the experience, exploring those free custom GPTs, and really mastering prompt writing, especially using those custom instructions.
That's a great summary. Applying these strategies genuinely gives you a toolkit to be way more effective, more productive, and just get more knowledge out of it, all without needing that paid subscription.
This has been a deep dive from Le Podcast de Philippe. If you found these insights valuable, please help us reach 1,000 subscribers.
Every subscription helps us keep digging into topics like this.
So here's a thought to leave you with. Now that you're armed with these strategies, what previously complex task, something you maybe avoided, will you now tackle with ChatGPT's free power?